Hey guys, what's up? This is Tom Fountainhead back with another guitar lesson for you guys. I've been playing through this Yngwie Malmsteen tune these last couple of days pretty often. It's called Eclipse. I don't know why exactly, but for some reason I really felt the Yngwie getting pretty strong these last couple of days. And this tune, Eclipse, used to be my favorite Yngwie. Oh, what do I mean used to be? It's still my favorite Yngwie instrumental tune ever since I heard it as a teenager, and it was my personal introduction to neoclassical metal guitar as a whole. And so, you know, I really have a soft spot for Yngwie in particular and for that tune as well. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm playing it anyway, let's take you guys through this lick that I just showed you, which I think is the, or at least one of the quintessential Yngwie licks, because there's so many of those Yngwieisms, of those principles that he uses as a guitar player, encapsulated in this little 4-bar phrase. So here we go. 4 bars. Bar 1. You could say this is theme A. Then bar 2. Alright. So this is theme A again with a slight variation and at the end, so A variation. And then theme B. Definitely not a variation on A, but just completely its own thing. And then in bar number 4, he's going back to A, ending on the root note. So what's happening here? First of all, we are in the key of A flat harmonic minor. For those of you who don't know, really quickly, harmonic minor is basically like regular minor. So we have root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, but now instead of a minor seventh, like you would have in regular Aeolian minor, we have a major seventh. Right? And this is pretty much what he's spelling out in that first bar. He's starting from A flat, then minor third, perfect fifth, major seventh. So it's a minor major seventh arpeggio, and then going up to the root note A flat. So he's really spelling out that A flat harmonic minor territory here. And as you probably know, Yngwie tunes all of his guitars 1 semitone down. So on his guitar, everything would be 1 fret up. Right, but since we're in standard tuning, A flat it's gonna be. So he is spelling out that arpeggio and that tonality, as I said, and then he's descending in a scale sequence, in the scale or mode of A flat harmonic minor. So the first mode of the scale. And the interesting thing here is that if you would be playing the scale in a sequence without any interruptions, you would be playing but instead he is leaving out one of those steps. He's playing G A flat and then jumps straight to E flat E. And that could serve 2 different purposes. So first of all, it just shortens the line a little bit, and then he's able to play down to G as the last note, which is a great leading tone, into A flat, which starts off the second bar again. And the other reason could be that now he has 1, 2, three times this semitone dissonance in one bar, which he otherwise wouldn't be able to fit into one bar of straight 16th notes. The recording tempo is 140 BPM, by the way. So he wouldn't be able to fit all those in, and the more you have those dissonances, the more dramatic it gets. So that could also be the reason behind it. And guitar playing wise, technique wise, well, this is classic Yngwie territory, because right off the bat, we are mixing at least two different techniques. We are mixing sweeping / economy picking, and then alternate picking. So at that tempo of 140, playing that with alternate picking would be incredibly hard. I don't think Yngwie would be doing that either. It doesn't really depend on ability, but he's just someone who really likes to mix techniques, within a lick, within a line. He will sometimes use 2, 3, 4 different techniques to make the line work. And that is an indicator for the fact that he's not really thinking guitaristic, if that makes any sense. So a lot of times, licks or melody lines that work great on guitar and are invented on guitar really work well with the tuning of the instrument. Just don't force you to utilize more than one technique. So like pentatonic blues licks, for example. But what Yngwie is doing is he's playing these classical lines on guitar, and who's ever tried to play like a Bach sonata or, any of these classical composers' music on guitar will quickly realize that there's a lot of technical challenges involved with bringing this music to guitar, because it's not really made to be played on guitar. Like these intervals that they include are often pretty awkward to do on our instrument. So that is one of the reasons why these lines, these classical influence lines that Yngwie is playing, demand more than one technique. And in return, that is what gives Yngwie this very fluid, human and like graceful sound. He's never, and this is true for Eclipse here as well, if you try to play along with him to the recorded audio, you find that, especially if you learned the lick before and you worked it up to a certain speed with a metronome, and then you play it along with the recording, you realize that he's not really in time, but he's not out of time either. He kind of floats in and out of it, which is beautiful, beautiful sound of being really graceful, floating in and out of the music, technically and rhythmically. And that is one of the things that gives Yngwie this very unique sound that he has. Many have tried to copy it, and most of them have failed because of those reasons. So when I think Yngwie, I don't think robotic, static, super precise. I think more free-flowing and effortless and graceful. And yeah, mixing techniques like that is a big part of his style. So we are starting with 3 downstrokes, letting our pick fall through the G, B, and E strings. And then the moment we get to the G here, we are switching to alternate picking. So up, down, up, down, up, down. And vice versa, this descending scalar pattern, that wouldn't be something that you would want to play with economy picking. That, like, the amount of notes on each string, the way that it's constructed, that don't lend itself. My English sucks today. Whatever. It doesn't lend itself to that particular technique. All right. Then we are going into bar number 2, which starts off exactly like bar number 1. So same arpeggio, same downward sequence until this point, and then for the last 4 16th notes, he's changing it up. He's playing, so B, A flat, B flat, A flat, And for that you have to use inside picking, meaning that you play downstrokes on the B string and upstrokes on the G string, which is lower. So you're playing in between those two strings, which to me is one of the most difficult aspects of alternate picking, this thing here. Here comes. And he is basically switching up because he's creating, again, a lead in to the next bar. And the next bar starts on G. So if we would just repeat the first bar note by note, then the last note of bar number 2 would be G, and also the first note of bar number 3 would be G. So two notes in a 2 times the same note in a row would be out of character for this lick. That doesn't happen anywhere else within those 4 bars, and it would also require at least a position shift or switching fingers in between those 2 notes. So either way, it's not a very graceful thing to do. So he's creating this little variation, which allows him to lead in with a semitone step, leading to the G, which starts off bar number 3. So bar number 3 is where it gets harmonically interesting, because now during the first 2 notes, which are G and B flat, you could be tempted to think, okay, he's starting from the 7th scale degree in A flat harmonic minor, which is G, and on that 7th scale degree, the mode would be could be starting this diminished thing, because the diminished scale would be something that he uses in that situation very often in other songs, but not here, because once you go up to E flat, you realize that he's actually playing E flat major, right? E flat, G, B flat, and he's just playing an inversion of it, right? So root note is up here. And that is spelling out, as we'll see in a minute, he's spelling out the 5th mode of harmonic minor, which is a very Yngwie thing to do. That is Phrygian dominant. Most definitely one of Yngwie's most favorite scales to use. And he's spelling that out pretty clearly. And he's doing it in a way that's also giving us this pedal tone lick. So more on that in a minute. But first of all, he's playing G, which is the major 3rd. Then minor 2nd, root, minor 7th, minor 6th, perfect 5th. So he's really spelling out with that flat 2nd, he's spelling out harmonic, the 5th mode of harmonic minor. So yeah, and on this lick here, that is a pedal tone lick, which is another thing that he does all the time. And he's really the guy who I heard doing it first. And pedal tones, the concept behind it is that you have at least 2 contrasting lines, melodic lines. One of those will be moving around and creating motion, and the other one will remain stationary. This will be G. G is staying G, G, B, G. And then this other line is just going down the scale. And you go back and forth between those 2. So that's pretty cool, very classical sounding. And technique-wise, I'm pretty sure he's playing it with alternate picking. And sometimes I catch myself playing it with hybrid picking. So either my middle finger or ring finger of the right hand will play the G. Just because this lick is, not isolated in the tune Eclipse. This lick happens, then we have a even longer section of not 30-second notes, but 16th notes, 16th note triplets, playing the sweep arpeggios for a bit. He then returns to the lick that we're talking about, and then goes back to the sweep arpeggios. So it's like 45 seconds of straight, scorching lead guitar. And at some point, especially if you're like me and you don't play this kind of stuff every day, then it's kind of hard to keep up your picking and to preserve energy and just keep the right hand relaxed. I sometimes switch to hybrid picking, which is easy for me because it gives me a sound that's not very different from when I would be picking every note. But yeah, like Yngwie, I think, will be alternate picking this entire section, except for the beginning of the bar. So yeah, he's doing the arpeggio, this thing, the pedal tone line, and then for the last 4 16th notes, he's creating yet another little lead in to go back into the A flat. So he really makes it clear with those 4 notes that something's about to happen and that the harmony is about to change again. And so in bar 4, he resolves it back to theme A, straight up A flat harmonic minor. So bar 4 is exactly the same as bar 1, except for the fact that we're stopping on this note and we are letting this note vibrate a little bit. Obviously not using like a shy vibrato, but what my friend Christian Münzner would probably call a big dick 80s vibrato. That kind of thing. Classic Yngwie, very dramatic. And another reason for that could be that, since I already said that there's this arpeggio section forthcoming right after this bar ends, that you really need just a tiny moment to get your head space and your right hand position ready to tackle this very different and very difficult sweep arpeggio line, right? And so you want to create just a tiny moment where you can, get ready to do that and just not play straight until the bar ends and then just jump into the next one. You don't want to do that. So that gives you that little bit of pause in order to then, launch into the sweeping bit. But yeah, that's the entire 4 bars. Oh, sorry. There it is. Well, and that's it. Loads of Yngwieisms and little neoclassical standard things, which are standard things now, but Yngwie pretty much invented this shit. He wrote a rule book on all these concepts that you can see in action here in this lick. So I think that should be helpful if you are just starting to to immerse yourself in that style, into that particular way of playing lead guitar. And if you just want to learn a really cool Yngwie lick. So there you go. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Ring the bell so you get notified whenever I post new videos, right? Because there's lots of stuff happening on this channel. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram, linked below. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day. Peace.